So I did a dandy run today and it started out good, but then became the worst run I have done all week. But before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. Let's get started. Okay, so at the start of the run, I said I was gonna distract. And this flower Pebble said, I distract mains, spoiler, he didn't even get to see a main. But then this vintage Pebble said, I distract Sprout, and keep him in mind. Or you won't have to. So the second floor started out fine, but this vintage Pebble had Finn, the slowest twisted, and got hit trying to do a trick like an idiot. I don't know what I was doing here, but I was being a complete idiot. But also these people couldn't help themselves, and ran out the elevator nor giving me a second to gather all twisted they. I grabbed this bottle of pop, but then saw this Pebble going for it. Sorry, not sorry. He's back up anyways. It don't matter. Okay, that happened. This run was really good. I loved this run until I didn't. Okay, so here I saw this band. I didn't have any, so I took it and forgot Pebble was on one. But then Goob was like, does Louis get bands too? And someone said no, and I'm like, what? And they said I get meds instead. But I told them that I need to distract on 2. This floor, I had to go AFK, right? So I asked backup for help, right? Well, it doesn't seem like he helped that much because all I heard was hits. But anyways, here is where it all started. So we got V right? Well, common sense is to wait for panic mode, right? Well, common sense isn't real to vintage Pebble. What? I decide to move away, mostly because Gigi was on the machine and how Pebble was just standing there. This was kinda my fault. But here comes Pebble. He literally just barked to get research on V. Then he got Shelly hit. Pebble can't have any patience. He can't just wait for panic mode and has to be a complete idiot. Sprout wastes his savoury charm for research, but I think he was just saving Shelly. And just like this person said, Pebble needs to learn to stay away from the distractor. Which is true, because did you see what happened? But if you're like, that wasn't that big of a deal, Oh, it gets worse.
I hate Pebble. 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 I hate Pebble.
We hate Pebble.
Here, Pebble comes out of nowhere and has to be annoying. Are you seeing this? Here we get Shelly and Sprout, and here is where everything gets bad. As you can see here in chat, Pebble says, "Let me, should have already known this was a bad sign." Somehow Pebble was already here waiting for me. Here I was just reminding Sprout I was on 1 so he could heal soon. But keep in mind how I never said I needed any help. Here is Pebble just wadding and being useless, telling him to stay away for the safety of us both.
He did not just do that.
And it keeps going. Then IT said, "You're welcome. You know what you could be saying you're welcome to? You leaving." He takes Sprout. Look at this idiot not knowing stealth.
Are you guys seeing this?
Knowing I can't cut a corner at all.
This idiot.
And then he had the audacity to say, "He's at 1. I'm trying to help." Oh, you did not. I have told him multiple times to stay away and even said I'm fine earlier. Gotta make sure this rabies rat doesn't get aggro. Now I get my payback and know this isn't grief. Now it wasn't meant to happen. He wasn't gonna get hit. I did not mean to do that. It just happened that way. But it's also his fault for not getting in earlier and not listening. Everything just came up like that. Then Pebble said, I tried to help, saying that it was my fault. This guy's cannot be serious. He wasn't doing anything these next floors, so I thought he was gonna stop. But boy, was I wrong. Here, Shelly got out of the elevator and didn't move. So IDK, what happened? But then this Pebble had audacity to say, Louis, why? Obviously I said what, because what did I do exactly? He said, Shelly, first of all, you're acting like a big baby. Second off, it wasn't my fault. There was a juicy med kit there, but I was gonna wait for someone to take it first. Then this Pebble said Shelly was AFK. Okay, there is multiple things that makes this wrong. First, Shelly was moving seconds before she left the elevator. Second, why would she just randomly go AFK outside of the elevator? Third, why would she even go AFK when it's panic mode? Fourth, she said nothing in chat. This floor nothing happens, so I'll just skip through it. Now here we get Sprout again, but something that happens here is different. He also says, why can't I distract him? I've told him 20 times, and also I'm main distractor. It's not that hard to wait for panic. Oh, must have been the wind. Then this dog says, ugh. You can ugh all you want, you're not getting your way. Watch this epic med juke. Anytime I would try and go to the middle, Pebble would just be standing there. So I asked him nicely, like normal person. And he still didn't move, but he wasn't in the way that much. Here I didn't really care because it was panic mode, although he could have waited at elevator. Went AFK for a second and came back to see Pebble actually being useful for one, but then I see the chat. Someone said, Pebble, please help with machines, and Pebble said, no. Okay then? Then I went AFK to see attempting to grief me isn't any help either. But Pebble griefed? Here, Pebble was just following me and kind of being annoying, but whatever. Here he just uses his box of chocolates. Kinda stupid, but not my choice. Here is where we get Shelly and Sprout again. But Pebble doesn't stay away this time. He was just worse than the last time. He doesn't make it easier or help at all. I know I shouldn't have used my band for this air horn, but I didn't want to deal with Pebble's stupidity today. Here Yada says, Pebble, just work on machines. And Pebble says, sorry, I really don't want to. You never want to do anything. Oh, and it's called being lazy. Telling Sprout I'm on one for a reminder, but not for help. Sprout heals me. Thanks, Sprout, but Pebble isn't happy. Pebble says no, and is one again being a big baby. Along with that, he barks to get aggro. He was coming to bring the Twisteds to Sprout, because that's the way Sprout was going, but I wasn't gonna let that happen. Pebble follows me to wait for his ability cooldown, while Yada, Sprout, and Gigi stand up for me. Being selfish once again. I forgot that his ability only goes on for like 5 seconds, and I can easily get the Twisteds back. So now I know the trick to this, and he can't do nothing about it. But you know what he can do. He can sit there and not help anyone while waiting for his ability to cool down and try to get aggro. Ugh, here we go again. Sprout asks if we can find a band tell him because he's on one. So obvious common sense would be to tell him. Well, Pebble isn't a good aggro stealer or even a good item stealer, but he could be a good liar. Here Pebble says banned in chat. And then he went over to where I was and said, "Someone took," making it seem like I took it. Gladly, Sprout didn't assume I took it. Pebble comes over here and barks, which leads to me getting hit. Then he says, "You're it too?" Obviously because Sprout healed me. You literally just saw me get hit and healed in front of your eyes. Sadly, our Sprout dies. Then this Pebble says, "I'm 14, who asked first of all. And second, you're really not acting 14, which makes me think you're lying completely. So honestly, I don't believe that at all." Then Pebble says, "Banned." I had one, so I said, "I'm fine." But then I got hit out of nowhere. So I follow Pebble, and he tries to lead me into R&D, and then says I got lost. I'm sure. He said here, "I got lost, but you guys saw how he stood there waiting for me?" And here he also got busted because someone said, "There is nothing in R&D I believe. I already did the machine in there." This Pebble really tried. Now this floor we get Pebble. Now let me tell you, this floor was overwhelming. Not because of the Twisteds, but because of Pebble. Okay, so Pebble wasn't doing anything this floor, but he was backup distractor, right? He literally said it earlier. I know how to distract Pebble and Jungle Kite, but I don't know how to Jungle Kite on this floor. So obvious Pebble show take the commons, because that's what backups usually do when we get T-Pebble. But no, he didn't. I get that he didn't, but the whole time he did like one machine and left the rest for the others. Watch the chat for now, and Pebble says, "Distractor, go distract." And someone said, "Pebble, you can distract the commons." And Pebble was like, "No." I know we told him not to help the other times, but that's because he kept getting in the way and being annoying when he told him to stop and we didn't ask him to help. So he was just being useless and pretty rude. With his typing, I'm convinced he's not 14, but whatever.